Different types of cable. 1/8, 5/64, 3/32 are different diameters of cable. So we had another slide in there that had 1/16, and there's been quite a few wolves killed on 1/16. And we used to teach that in this course. But we realized that you cannot get consistency in the cable you buy. And some of that stuff, you can just give it a twist and break it at 1/16. So we do not recommend you making any more wolf snares with 1/16 inch cable. Also, I don't want to beat around bragging up the ATA, but you can buy cable from different places around the province, and you'll get Korean or Chinese cable. It's a lot cheaper than the cable that we sell at the ATA or Marty Seneca sells, but it's not the same cable. It'll break at 200, 300, 400 pounds difference in strength. And you'll see that can really make a difference, okay? So we're going to look at these cables a little bit different, but in the past, when we very first started trapping, the government made us use 1/8 inch cable, and we had lots of wrecks. We had lots of animals that didn't die very well. And it took us quite a while to convince people in high places that a smaller cable kills quicker. That being said, the 1/16 is not good enough for wolves. Can anybody give me an idea how much a 100-pound wolf can pull? Any ideas?
I had a 750-pound breakaway, and I've had a wolf pull a ton of that.
So they say a wolf can pull 800 pounds. A 100-pound wolf can pull 800 pounds. So that's a lot, right? And so that can work to your advantage or your disadvantage. That being said, if you tie your snares too high, when they go to pull, you're going to lift their front feet off of the ground and they can't pull properly, right? And so there's a balance there. And so we recommend using 5/64 cable, and that's what we're going to use in this course is 5/64 cable for the snare end.
19, 5/64.
Yeah. I know that I've done some courses and some old timers and that they tell me they use that 1/8 inch cable and they won't use anything else. That's their prerogative, right? But when you see the difference, how quick they kill and how much less work you have to do when you're skinning the animal, that makes a difference to me. So here we have the two different types of cable. 1/19, you can see that there's one strand in the center, right here, and then you got all these other strands going around it. So 7x7, it has 7 strands, and then it has 7 bundles going around it. The 1/19 holds a better loop. It's a stiffer cable, but it doesn't choke down as tight as a 7x7. I know some trappers that won't do anything but 7x7, and that's fine. Both of them will kill. The only thing is, if you're starting out and you're just learning how to snare, and that, the 1x19 is by far a lot easier to hang. So you want to set your snares well back from your bait station. I won't set a snare any further than 75 yards from my bait station. Anything closer than that, I don't even want to look at it. I want to catch the wolves when they smell it and they're kind of breaking around. Lots of times they'll break up. The pups will try to get there before the adults or whatever. And if they split apart, I don't want one wolf watching another wolf being strangled in a piece of cable. Or one wolf get tangled up in 2 snares and he isn't be able to choke himself down properly and die properly. So that's one of the misconceptions some guys have. They'll make like a fence, and their snares will be, there's a hole here, and then they got 2 feet, 3 feet, then another snare. So if you catch a wolf, you can wrap around in both of them. Here you can see this wolf here, he's still alive. Why is he still alive? I think so. There's one there. And I think there's one around his belly, but I'm not sure. But when they come in, you want to really watch how they come in to your bait stations and where you're setting. And height off of the ground is good. So we have the different strike zones for the kill zone. Anybody that's taken the standard course, you know all of this is just all double. So having a humane catch is critical. Of course, if you have one that's caught, and you know, back in the day when we had just the 1/8 inch cable, if I hadn't have known because of the fresh snow on the ground that wolf just went underneath the tree and got caught, he hit the end of the snare, he fell over, got up, and he walked right up to the tree and he bit that wire off, that 1/8 inch cable off, right at the tree, just like as if you would have taken a cable cutter. I couldn't believe how smooth that was. And it took me 3 weeks to catch that wolf. I finally caught him in a leg hole. And it was a good thing because I didn't want him running around like that. And it was a good catch right around the neck and everything else. But at that time, we didn't have grooves in our locks, and they backed off a little easier at that point in time. So here you can see on this snare here, there's one of those whammies. They call it a whammy. I hate that name, but that's an American name. One of those metal to hold a number 9 wire up.
How is it that the escape wolf can educate the pack? They never, let's say
How can it educate them? So it'll interfere with them going into the bait station.
Oh.
I've actually seen, I've actually seen where wolves have gone up to a snare, backed up to a snare, backed up, and the wolves were spreading out, and they all come together in one, and they walked on a log, and they jumped through, and they took off, and they never did come back. Never come back at all. Never come back onto my trap line. And I don't know what educated him to that snare, but his head was right in that snare. His feet were right below the snare. He backed up, and he went up on this big Douglas fir that fell over. And so I had basically like a big star. This is before I knew to set your snares back quite a ways. I had a pail with a rotted beaver with holes in the bottom of the pail. And so this stuff was dripping out onto the ground. And about 30 yards away, I great big trees like this, I had cut holes in them for them to go through. And I put the snares in them, and I just stapled the snares to these trees. He backed up and he jumped on that log, and they all come together and they took off, and that was it. Never seen him again. They never did come back on my trap line. So stuff like that makes bad publicity. Everybody walks around with the camera, and some trappers are the worst. I know I've got a few guys in the past that don't like me anymore because I've seen some of the stuff they put on Facebook, and I told them they better smarten up if they want to become trappers and be professionals, not to put that junk on Facebook. Why would you catch an accidental catch by a coyote by the hips in a snare and then brag about it and put it on for the media to see? It makes no sense, right? Anybody that's trapped for a while and said they never had an accident, I will call them a liar. Those things do happen. But being a professional, you want to limit that stuff as much as possible.
Well, and you want to just hold the whole industry to a high account. I mean, it's like there's two types of gun people out there. Those who appreciate the safety associated with guns and those who don't. And it's obvious which is which, and you know, which one's comfortable to be around at the gun range. The idiot who's going to barrel sweep you at a moment's notice, or someone who treats that with respect as a professional, right? It's no different than anything else. When you tolerate idiots, idiots is what you get. And they're just a problem for anybody.
I went and did this course up at Medicine Hat, and this gentleman come and seen me, and he was showing me one of the snares that he had made. He drilled holes through these golf balls, put these golf balls on the snare. And I asked him, you know, because trappers got ideas, right? Why do you put golf balls on your snares? Well, so when I catch them, they got something to chew on. They don't chew on the wire. And I said to him, well, don't you want to catch them around the neck properly and kill them so they can't chew on the wire? Well, they always do, he said. So I asked him to show me. And so what he was doing, he was going down along the river in this buckbrush, and he'd find a beaver chewed log or something. He'd put it across the trail like that, and he'd hang the snare right above it. So the coyotes were jumping through the snare, and he had the loops too big. They were jumping through the snares, and he was making hip catches all the time.
Yeah.
So if they're a dead wolf, they can't chew out. And that's what we want to see.
Did you like this video? If you did, I think you're gonna like this one right over here. So check it out. And I appreciate your subscribing if you haven't done so already. Remember to do that while you're watching this next video. Click like, it all helps us out for this channel. Catch you next time.